today, what it is, and the science involved in body language. I am from Louisiana. I'm a French lady. I speak French. My parents speak French. I studied at University of Louisiana. I taught at University of Louisiana, and then I moved to Houston, and I taught at University of Houston. But the way that I became involved in body language, I was in a graduate psychology class, and I had this fun professor who did strange things with us to make us learn. And he would get on these kicks, and one day he got on this one, and then he kept on it for about a month. And he would just walk into the room, and he'd point at someone and say, "Oh, I know what you're thinking." A couple of days later, looked at someone else. "Oh, I know what you're thinking." A few days later, came back, looked at someone else. "Oh, I know what's on your mind." He kept doing that with us, and one day looked at me and he said, "Jan, I know what you are thinking." And I thought to myself, how can that old fool know what I'm thinking? Because it always wasn't true. So he told us about body language, and I said, "You mean I can study someone's behavior for a while and tell what's going on in their mind?" He said, "Yes, you can do it." And I was dating someone at the time. So I said to my college professor, I said, "So when this man tells me he loves me, I can figure out if he's telling the truth." And he said, "Oh, yeah, you can do it." I said, "I need to learn this stuff." I said, what an advantage I would have all my life. I could figure out if my boyfriends were telling me the truth. So I just began to study it at first because I wanted to use it on all of my friends. And it began as minor research and then became major research. For me, my dissertation for my second degree is in body language. My thesis for my third degree is also in nonverbal communication. But I'm pretty much like you. I am a business major and I'm a psychology minor. So during the day at the college level, I've always taught business. I taught business law, I taught economics. But at every college, they come and they say to professors, "Why don't you teach a class for us at night in an area where you're doing extensive research?" We would send in curriculum, some got approved, some did not. Mine got approved, and people started taking this class. But, I mean, really, think about this. This was 22, 23 years ago. At that time, it was only criminal justice majors or pre-law majors who were interested in body language. But nowadays, I think anyone who has to have a conversation with someone else has got to have a little bit of interest in the field. So I would take these students in, I would teach them how to spot liars, how to spot truth tellers. I also do handwriting analysis. It is a huge part of your body language. We pick entire juries just based on a person's handwriting. Your handwriting says a lot about you. I don't want this to scare you, but I also do facial analysis. That when people get into the jury box, we will study the shape of your face and the fullness of your lips and the arches in your eyebrows. Primarily, it is the texture of your skin that lets us know how lenient you are in a court case. I also do doodle analysis, so do not doodle while you're with me. We'll see if someone needs to stay after class for some therapy, but I would teach all this. And then at the last class meeting every semester, I would house a To Tell the Truth game panel show. There was an old show years back called To Tell the Truth. Some of you may remember that. And I would bring in 3 people to my classroom. 2 were imposters, of course, and 1 was always of a true profession. First time I taught it, on the very last night, I brought out a nun. I had gone to a Catholic school. We had lots of nuns in Southwest Louisiana, and it was a nun. I said, "I need you to come to my class on this certain night." But I said, "You cannot wear your nun's habit." I said, "Just wear a regular suit." Then I had to find myself 2 other ladies who looked a little ugly also. And I love nuns. So as each lady came in, I'd say, "Who are you?" And the first one would say, "Well, I'm Sister Mary Teresa." And second would say, "I am Sister Mary Teresa." Third would usually put her hands on her hips and say, "You know what? I am the real Sister Mary Teresa." And so then my class could ask them questions. How many beads on a rosary? Does the priest really drink the wine? I don't know what they ask them, but they asked them a series of questions, and I had trained my class members enough that they could study these 3 ladies, and I'll give you that much information today, and watch their body language and tell which 2 were lying and which 1 was telling the truth. That's how I originally got into this. I mean, never ever thinking to become such a science, but you cannot pick 12 jurors who think like your attorney thinks unless you have one who does what I do. I mean, we just study behavior. And I don't know what you know about my background. I did a lot of the research on the John and Patsy Ramsey case. That case will never be solved. I was surprised a couple of weeks ago, got some new information on that. Years after that, we put in tons of hours. It was on the Susan Smith case, a young lady in South Carolina, Leslie put 2 boys in the car. It's been 8 years now that we have finished Scott Peterson's case. I worked on some of your major cases here in New York too, so it's an interesting world. Now that you understand me, I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to work my way down the body, because I want to show you some motion so that this afternoon when you're in conversation with someone, I want you to have them figured out before they actually figured you out. Would you hate to be married to me? I would